Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Talking Tech. And today we have another interesting topic for you because Google had earlier this year announced the Android 12, and earlier this month the rollout has officially started, and a lot of smartphone makers are finally bringing their custom ROMs based on Android 12 on their smartphones. And one of those smartphone manufacturers to do it first is, of course, Oppo. Now we have the ColorOS, which comes with a lot of new features. And interestingly, this update comes at a time when there is also there are a lot of talks around closer integration between Oppo and OnePlus. So we have a lot of questions about what all is new on ColorOS 12, what kind of sharing is happening between OnePlus and Oppo. And to answer all of these questions, I have with me Manoj Kumar from Oppo. Welcome to the show, Manoj. How are you doing?
Thank you for having Manas. I'm doing fine. How are you?
Absolutely fine. I'm doing really well. So Manoj, this update has of course now come out globally as well as India, and you have started rolling out the update. So I will just start by asking this: what is the rollout plan for India? Which smartphones are getting ColorOS 12 update first here, and what are the other smartphones or series lineups that will eventually get it?
I think this is the important question. Even our users are really interested to know.
Yeah.
Because as you know, in overseas market, for Android users, updates are very important. So let's talk about ColorOS 12. ColorOS 12, which was launched on 11th, we plan to roll out ColorOS in India in a phased manner. Okay. So basically, it will start in November, the next month. Our flagship devices will be the first one to receive the update. And after that, we will have another batch of devices which will come in December.
So
and
Manoj,
then we have
sorry to interrupt, but just to be clear, when you say the flagship devices, it means the Find X series.
Yeah, if you want me to, because there are at least we have 17 models which have been planned for update. So I can read out each, obviously, but that information is widely available.
If you could just give us the lineups, that would be more than enough. You don't have to spell out each models, but if you can just give us the lineups, that would be great.
Perfect. So we plan to roll out the OS 12 in phased manner, as I said earlier, in 2021 and 2022.
Okay.
So first model which will receive the ColorOS 12 is Find X2 and Reno series devices. Which starts in November, just next month. And after that, in December, we will have a Reno. And apart from Reno, we will be adding F19 Pro Plus and A74 5G. So you can see in December, we have models from A series, Reno, and F series. Okay. And then we go into the 2022. So we have basically planned it in two batches in 2022. Okay, first batch, which is in the first half, where the devices include Reno 10X Zoom, which is a very important model, Reno 3 Pro, Reno 4 Pro, F19 Pro, and F17 Pro. Okay. And apart from these F series and Reno series devices, we also have a A53s 5G device, also part of this batch in the first half of the year. Okay. And in the second half, popular models like F19, F series model, F19, F19s, and F17, and A53 will be the part of that batch, which will come out in the later part of the 2022.
Okay, very interesting. So you're saying that 17 models in total will get this update?
Yes.
And by chance, if any of our viewers missed out on any of the names Manoj said here, you can definitely check out India Ready Tech's website, and there we have the entire list of all these devices which are actually getting the ColorOS 12 update. Now, Manoj, before we talk about ColorOS in detail and its new features, let me get something out of the way right up on top, because there are a lot of conversations around this merger with OnePlus, the closer integration, how much of sharing is happening. So my question to you is basically this: in this update, because this is the first time that we are looking at a closer integration between the two operating systems, how much sharing is happening between OnePlus? Because I am yet to experience OxygenOS 12. I've experienced your ColorOS 12. So what are the features that we can see common between these two operating systems in this update?
Okay, so let me explain this.
Yeah.
As I think you have read in the public, we have made the announcement. about a merger. Currently, OxygenOS and ColorOS are being merged together. Okay, so what I can tell you here today is that going forward, we will be taking best of the OxygenOS and best of ColorOS. So we will buy the strengths from OxygenOS and combine it with the strengths we have in a ColorOS. And our users will get unified OS, which will carry the characters of OxygenOS, which was loved by the user, and also ColorOS. And they will have a best of the both in going forward.
Okay. So will they also have some unique features? I mean, let's say there's a bigger this thing that where you have combined both the features together, but will there be some features or some experiences which will be reserved for just ColorOS or OxygenOS?
Yes, OxygenOS will retain its uniqueness, obviously, with its with the OnePlus devices. But going forward, we will have the unified OS. That OS will combine the good features from both the OS together, and that will be what ultimately our users will receive in terms of ColorOS in the future.
What you're telling me, Manoj, is that going forward, even though there'll be a unified experience, both these operating systems will also have some sort of uniqueness attached to them, despite that merger, right? Is there a timeline that you guys have decided upon? By when should we expect this entire unification process to happen? Even if there's a tented, I know you don't have a date handy, but even if there's, I mean, let's say first quarter or second quarter of next year, something like that, which you have in mind.
So you can see, as currently this is an ongoing process, and you can understand this is a very big exercise in nature.
Yeah, of course.
Because both these skins are very much loved by their users, and I think going forward, as we make it a unified OS, I don't have exact timeline at this moment in hand, but you can see from the OS 13. The current version is OS 12. From OS 13, you will see the result of this merger and unification.
Great. Now let's get to ColorOS 12, which we have in our hands right now. I think a lot of users must have already experienced it. I have spent a few days with it as well. Let me begin by asking you about the big changes. What are the updates on new features that have come to this version?
Digital adoption has grown exponentially, right? And what it basically means that more and more people are using technology. And if you look at a country like India, primary device through which they are accessing technology, which is very sophisticated technology, like they are using for the financial transactions, they are using payment apps. So they are using very sophisticated technologies. So privacy has become very important. Data protection has become very important in one year. So if you look at the OS 12, so there is a reflection that you can see privacy is a very important aspect of OS. Okay, so that is the one aspect where we really worked hard, and we have a many feature, as you might have experienced yourself, like a privacy dashboard and permission related to the microphone and camera. Those are very interesting features, very practical features. And apart from that, obviously, as you know, ColorOS is globally loved by many users. Okay, we have millions of users worldwide. So we are trying to make the design inclusive for OS. So if you, in terms of even the languages, if you see that OS 12 support around 67 languages because it's widely available across all the markets in the world. And also we have done a lot of features on the optimization part, where we are trying to see how the device can help user to improve the efficiency, like a few features like phone manager, 3-finger translation, which is the feature which I personally use, and I love that feature. It has been carried out from the OS 11. And similarly, many such features part of it. And again, especially the markets, emerging market like India, battery is the core issue. This is always been whenever we go out and talk to the users. Before the pandemic, let me tell you, we used to travel to tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 cities also. In the beginning of 2020, before the pandemic, we were in Lucknow, we were in Jaipur, and we were talking to the users. And battery is the major concern in market like India, especially, and there is a reason for it why it is so. Because if you see that people are watching, internet has become very cheap. People are using a lot of videos and they're doing a lot of surfing on the devices, but the juice is limited, right? So we have done a lot of innovation, Manas, on the
optimization
software aspect of the battery part as well. Yeah.
So let me tell you one thing. So the features which I particularly enjoyed are like, I mean, one was a very subtle implementation where you have added that bubble effect while scrolling through different menus, and that sort of animation I like that. Also the sidebar that you guys have added this time is quite useful.
Yes.
I've experienced it on some other smartphones, and I think it's going to be a good addition. Of course, emojis have also been added now. If in case our viewers are not aware, let me just tell you now you can also create your own emoji avatar on ColorOS 12. Now you talked about the privacy issue, Manoj, and there's a new privacy dashboard on the ColorOS. Can you deconstruct it for us? I mean, what does it exactly do? How much does it empower the users, and what can they do with it?
Okay, so as I told you earlier in the conversation that because of the pandemic, digital adoption has grown exponentially. Okay, so privacy has become a very important issue nowadays, and we as a smartphone company want to empower our users to decide, because if privacy is a very subjective now. Okay, what may be private for you, one user may not be private for others, right? So what we understand from our users is that we need to empower our users with the right set of information so that they are empowered enough to decide, which permission they want to give, which permission they do not want to give. Generally, what happens, whenever you say the word privacy or security, something very serious technology comes to the user mind, that this is privacy, this is security. Those aspects are always related to the seriousness part of the technology. But what we wanted to do, because ColorOS is all about that ease of use. So when we deep dived into the user studies, and we found that whenever we are talking about security, and many of users do not understand it. Okay, so we need to actually simplify it for them. Okay, once you simplify it for them, once it is not hidden inside 2 or 3 layers, once you bring it up front, and then users feel empowered enough to decide whether to give or not give the permission. So that's what the whole concept of privacy dashboard is about, that you present the right information to the user, and then let user decide. Empower user with the information, and then let user decide which apps the user wants to give permission, or which apps he or she doesn't want to give.
Just to simplify, then users now can decide which apps have access to their camera, their microphones, and their location, and all of those things. So basically now you can, if anybody is using an Oppo phone, they can decide which apps they want to give certain access to or not, right?
Yes. So yeah, Manas, I think this is an important point. As I told you earlier, the moment we talk about security, it's like it's related to something very serious. But I think it is not so. Because what we do at the ColorOS, one of our core objective is to make the technology faceless, right? One of the biggest challenge as an engineers and designers and product managers we have is that we have to make it look very, very simple. Okay, we have to make it really accessible to the users, and I think that's what we have done with the privacy dashboard. A term which we could say is a very the moment you talk about it, you relate it to the seriousness, and then we have made it really accessible to the users. So that's what we have bring it upfront to the users, and let the user empower user with that information, then let user decide whether they want to give permissions or not. And there are more details to it. You can see how many apps use, when that last app used that particular permission. So it's an entire dashboard which is presented to the user.
Manoj, one more thing quickly, which I want to just check with you. So I was using ColorOS 12, and what I could see is that there are still a lot of pre-installed apps on this software. So is there something which you are discussing on this front or working on? Because especially in the premium smartphones, this has been biggest complaint from a lot of smartphone users, and not just Oppo, for other brands as well, that they don't want to see these many pre-installed apps, especially ones which send out a lot of notifications. So is that something we expect to be corrected in future?
See, Manas, whatever softwares or OS versions we are releasing, that's clearly in line with I clearly understand your point, but that's in line with what our user demands. There has been a clear demand for certain things from the user side, and only what is demanded by the users, we are trying to supply those pieces of software to the users. So everything is aligned with the user need for anything which is present on the phone.
Cool. Okay. So what I'll probably do is experience the ColorOS 12 furthermore on specifically a few Indian devices. And if I find any app which I think might not be something that users want, then I'll get back to you and I ask you that question again. Why is that app there? But for now, my last question to you today, Manoj, is that you have also updated your software policy for all the Oppo smartphones, especially for 2021. So can you take us through that? What is it? And for how many years users will get the software updates now?
Yes, so we have made this announcement for the first time. So as a part of this policy for ColorOS, starting from 2021, we will be guarantee 3 major Android upgrade and 4-year security patch. So you need to understand both upgrade plus security patch, because security, as I mentioned earlier, it has become the important part of smartphone experience now. Okay, so for our flagship devices, okay, we will guarantee 3 major updates, Android updates, and 4-year security.
Just to be clear, is it 3 Android updates or is it 3 years of Android updates? Because
it's a 3 Android upgrades.
3 Android updates. So for example, if I bought a phone which is running on Android 11, I'll get Android 12 and 13, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Similarly, for Reno and F series, we will offer 2 years of major Android upgrade and 3 years of security patch. And some of the A series model, as you know, we have devices across the range. So for like low-end devices, for A series models, we have at least one. We will give at least 1 Android upgrade and 3 years of a security patch. Again, applies to those low-cost models as well.
Okay. Thank you so much, Manoj, for your time. You were very kind with your time and all the information that you shared with us. I think I'll be definitely looking forward to this closer integration between ColorOS and OxygenOS, and I'm sure our viewers would also be really excited to check that out. And all the best for all your future plans. Thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you so much, Manas. It was great interacting with you. Look forward for more such interactions.